Welcome back to Farming and Ranching for the Bottom Line, linking soil to well-being. We just got done hearing from John Kempf. Again, he kicked off this afternoon about talking about water use efficiency. And now I'm going to go through a quick presentation of what's going on here at the Menoken farm. So we'll move into that. And we're going to talk about fostering life at the Menoken farm. And this is a drone shot of the Menoken farm pre-COVID. It was a beautiful evening. I threw that one in there to start it off because I think our goal should be to get back to that. 2020 was a good year, but 2019 we hosted upwards of close to 40 to 50 groups, and we're looking forward to getting back that again. Menoken Farm, as the sign states, is established in 2009 and is owned and operated by the Burleigh County Soil Conservation District. It's a combination of natural resource education and systems approach conservation. When we use this systems approach to management and put our emphasis on ecological function, it enhances all those things that really don't go on in today's production model, like erosion control, both wind and water. We tend to harvest more sunlight. We have more plant diversity. We see an increase in carbon capture and, of course, pollinators, the beneficial insects, wildlife, salinity control, etc. And again, these are all these things that sometimes are absent in today's current agricultural model. So what's going on at the Menoken farm? There's a list, and we'll go through some of the lists there, and we have some photos of some of the people that visited the Menoken farm in 2020 and also 2019. And so the information and education part is a huge thing of what we do at the Menoken farm. But I'm going to take you through quickly each of the systems and what's going on here at the Menoken farm. So we have our cropping system, and of course the photo, a little bit about our cropping system. It's a no-till system with high crop diversity and cover crops. The board made the decision in 2009 when it started that we'd have no insecticides, fungicides, or commercial fertilizer. And so some of the things that you'll see in our cropping systems is, of course, the picture of the full season cover, the large picture off to the left, and having these covers and what does this do? And of course, the cover provides diversity. We're mimicking nature, native range, because we've got high diversity. We're maximizing sunlight harvest. We've got lots of different roots going on, which is improving soil structure and infiltration. And we're building large, small pore spaces. We're building exudates. Also, a cover in our cropping system is a chance for livestock integration. And you can see in there that it's also a place to encourage pollinator and beneficial insects, which again fosters life. Excuse me. Up on the top right, we have a planting green picture. That particular picture is I think is significant. The state conservationist from North Dakota NRCS is actually riding along in that picture, and very supportive individual to our efforts at the Menoken farm. The planting green scenario has the concept has the potential of implementing cover crops into a low diversity cropping system, which tends to be common nowadays. This particular picture is cereal rye, which is seeded into the fall. Some of the benefits of planting green, of course, are the erosion control, the soil armor for wind and water erosion, which we still have, water quality. We're securing the post-harvest inorganic nutrient in a green growing plant. We're increasing diversity again in our simple rotations that we sometimes use, such as corn and soybean. Salinity is a huge concern here in North Dakota, and it's becoming more and more of a problem all the time, and we use that for management of that. Again, going with the concept of growing out water through transpiration rather than evaporating it out. And of course, it's a chance for livestock integration. So we also have a picture of the 60-inch corn with covers, which again speaks of diversity. We're maximizing sunlight harvest. It's a home for pollinators and beneficial insects, and another chance for livestock integration. And the 60-inch corn thing there's lots of talk with that, and it's an interesting concept that we've used out at the Menoken farm. We also did a soil sampling project in October of 2020. If memory serves me right, it was extremely cold. It looks nice out, but it was extremely cold. But it's important too to mention that this was a joint project with our partners and friends at NRCS and the ARS. And so we've taken some of that data and began to evaluate it, and it gives us a good baseline after 10 years or 11 years of our initial soil tests at the Menoken farm. So some of the data that has shown us here at the Menoken farm, we obviously captured large amounts of data, but this particular slide speaks to the soil organic matter. And so we had 10 different cropping schemes out at the Menoken farm each year. And of course, if you look across, each field is responding to 11 years of those different cropping schemes. And so if you look at the comments at the bottom, the highest soil organic matter is field 6 for both the shallow and the 4 to 12 inch organic matter. And of course, that field recently had a large diversity of crops, cover crops, livestock integration, et cetera, et cetera. If you look at field 3, which we'll talk a little bit about later, and 4 and 8, field 3 is a monoculture of wheat for 11 years. Field 8 has become our corn and soybean rotation. And field 4 is a bit questionable. I'm really not quite sure why we see that. But the point of the slide is, of course, we want the trend as we monitor our soils over the years to trend upward in a positive light, and we think that we're doing that on a majority of our fields. Again, factors affecting fostering life, but factors affecting soil organic matter. Our fields, again, are generally trending upward because we're doing the things on the left of the slide, again, factors promoting gains, which again speaks to fostering life, and the factors promoting losses, of course. We see more of that in a traditional agricultural systems, and that, of course, speaks more to the monoculture that we see in field 3 and the lower crop diversity and lack of cover crops that we see in field 8. The grazing system, again, at the Menoken farm is managed with short livestock exposure times, followed by long plant recovery times. If you look at the large picture again, is grazing season-long covers. And these pastures, whether they're covers, crop residues, or our perennial pastures, are managed by a single or double wire electric fence. If you look in the top right, we do utilize multi-species grazing. And so we have the sheep and our yearling heifers. That particular picture is a multi-species grazing on winter annual rye, which is a field we had planted green, which we're grazing it in the spring. Again, it's a time for livestock integration very early in the year. And so that's another benefit, the forage and that we get. And I'll show another slide in just a bit about some of the gains we got. The lower right is a scale photo that was new to us in 2020, and it was a very exciting and a great addition to what we do there, and it allows us to monitor our animal performance when grazing our perennials, our cover crops, whether they're season long or short, and our crop residues. So here's a video, and I don't know how that's coming out there on the large picture, but I thought it was kind of neat. Again, fostering life when you've got these heifers surrounded by you and you're grazing these season-long covers. It's unique in itself, and the Menoken farm allows that opportunity where we can have the cattle and integrate the livestock. This slide, again, there was, Jay had put together some very informative and educational presentations, but this is a summary of the pounds of beef per acre on 2020 at the Menoken farm. If you take note of the first bar, which is the cereal rye, again, an opportunity that we don't take advantage of nearly enough here in North Dakota. Grazing of the cereal rye, we picked up 100 pounds of additional beef per acre before even planting our cash crop, and I believe that's quite significant. Also the perennial pasture, the twice grazed, would be the orange and the green bar. And if you look on the far end, the brown bar is our failed 60-inch corn, and so we did pick up some significant gross income from that, as we picked up about 200 pounds of beef per acre. And so we ended up selling our heifers shortly after that for, I believe, close to $1.28 per pound. So the gross profit was good. But the Milpa garden, we have our outdoor garden. Again, this allows the opportunity to add plant diversity to garden soils. The picture on the left, the smaller, is how we seeded it with a 15-foot no-till John Deere drill. Milpa garden, of course, it creates its own ecosystem for sunlight and carbon dioxide harvest. You can see as it went along, this particular seed mixture is 40-plus species, and this year, of course, we had to irrigate it with our overhead sprinkler system. The Milpa harvest, that is not all of what we harvested from it, of course, what's on that table, but some of it. And of course, you can see how it advanced along. And again, as it matures and becomes what it is, it's again fostering life and providing a home and a place to foster the life. Again, the Milpa harvest was donated to our local food pantries and homeless shelters here in the Bismarck-Mandan area. Potato harvest is again part of our outdoor garden. We have no disturbance. We use alfalfa as a cover. All these potatoes were donated to the local food pantries and homeless shelters in Bismarck. And People really, it's one of our more interesting stops in the summer to have people acquaint themselves with the way that we plant potatoes using the soil health principles. The high tunnel garden, I compare it to, or Jay has said numerous times, he compares it to gardening in the tropics. And obviously you can really burn through the soils. It's got a huge amount of diversity. We do use covers after the harvest of our plants to build soil, again by harvesting sunlight and carbon dioxide. The produce raised, again in the high tunnel garden, is donated to the food pantries and the homeless shelters. We put flowers in our high tunnel as well, and the flowers provide a food and a home for the pollinators and beneficial insects. Again, another place to foster life. Here's the pollinator in the rain garden. Excuse me. Another area for food and home for living things. In this particular rain garden, we do capture the rainwater off the roof to provide the moisture and the life for the growing plants. And you can see I do have another video included, and if you look off to the lower left, you'll see the insects and things that are, again, alive in the pollinator in the rain garden. And so by having these things out at the Menoken farm, we're able to capture these instances where these things can occur. The Shelterbelts and the Windbreaks and the Arboretum. This has become a popular attraction at the Menoken farm for visitors that come. The Arboretum has become a place to hang out and become a great learning tool. Chad Thorson, one of our district technicians, has done a super job with the Arboretum, and it continues to grow, and he continues to add on to it. The Windbreaks were started in the spring of 2011, a lot of them, and were continually enhanced since then. Our Windbreaks are based on diversity and low disturbance planting. We, for lack of a better term, no-till plant our trees. Again, the Windbreaks and the Arboretum are again an area for fostering life by providing a home and food for living things, including the pollinator insects, wildlife, and people. So we do some composting. We heard from the Axtons today, Derek and Tanis, and we do some composting out at the Menoken farm. That's a picture of our piles to the left. We generally build the compost in the fall. We've since moved to static compost, and then of course you can see us spreading in the fall, the following fall, the compost that we built the fall before. We've also dabbled in using the Johnson Sioux bioreactor. Nolan Swenson, our current urban conservationist, has put together these Johnson Sioux bioreactors to build our product. Nolan is pictured on the left, giving a tour to a group that wanted to learn more about the bioreactors. So this picture here, the larger picture, is a picture of the top of the bioreactor. We happen to have a few leftover potatoes that may or may not have made the grade, and you can see the white PVC that we use for aeration. So here we are extracting the bioinoculant or the worm juice to apply on our fields. We're going to hear John talk a little bit about using bioinoculants effectively. This has become very new and exciting for us at the Menoken farm. And this is one of the ways that we're doing it. It's a process. So this is the top of one of our larger vermiculture processes. This is a repurposed hopper bottom, or a half a hopper bottom that we had. This is just a photo of the top of it taken by our drone. We did have our juice analyzed, and this is what was in last year's batch. Again, the team at the Menoken farm and in the Burleigh district is moving forward, pushing to new boundaries, right, and new objectives. And you know, those objectives are fostering life and finding new ways for nutrient and pest management and things like that. You can see a picture of our high tunnel in the side. We did apply some juice to the high tunnel. I believe we did a seed treatment as well as 2 applications during the growing season. The high tunnel, of course, also receives no fungicides, insecticides, or commercial fertilizer as well, and is powered by juice, I guess, for lack of a better term. So we're into regeneration. Of course, the SCD board, the Soil Conservation District Board, decided recently the life of what we used to, or what we call Field 3, which we had discussed earlier, monoculture of wheat for 11 years with all the commercial amenities applied to it. Its life was about to change. And of course, so we're building back in the process. We started integrating livestock, and we started putting carbon back on the area. And these pictures were taken about 2 to 3 weeks ago, and we've taken one half of the field and we've added livestock, and of course we're feeding on it. We have a good relationship with our neighbor, and he was able to bring over about 250 cows, and so we're bringing that field back. Last week I had a chance to listen to Jay Fear, of course, and John Sticka, and they were part of a annual meeting, or excuse me, a virtual meeting, and it was an opportunity for sure. But they said some things that really made sense, and of course were simple to understand, which is always beneficial for a guy like me, but it relates a lot to these fields. This particular field, our agricultural fields, or our agricultural soils, excuse me, have been degraded with our current production model, and they continue to be degraded. And if we want to get towards functioning soils, it requires a different thought process and less inputs. And this field here, of course, we're going to bring back, but we're going to do it with the soil health principles. And so we started with the livestock integration and the manure and the dung and the cover. So degraded soils, as we see, are underperforming in both our crop production. We've talked about that today. And probably more importantly is ecosystem services, which is the water cycle and the nutrient cycle and all those things that is affected by the public. So it's a great great thing, and I find it very exciting that we're going to finally bring this soil back to life. So appreciate the opportunity to visit with you today. That was a quick overview. I'm not sure where I am even with time, but a little self-education at the Menoken farm. These are all great reads. We encourage you to visit the www.menokenfarm.com. Contact myself or any member of the team. The Menoken Farm has a YouTube channel now that contains over 120 some videos of various producers and experts that we've accessed and created a library for people to view, and it's become quite popular, and it's a great resource for the Menoken Farm and all that. And we'd encourage all you that are with us today to certainly look us up, give us a call, and come see us at the Menoken Farm as time allows, and then of course as things get back to the new normal. So with that, thank you for the opportunity to visit with you today. So